3I Atlas has turned out to be far more troubling than NASA initially believed. An observatory stretching from Chile's Atacama Desert to the peaks of Hawaii's Mauna Kea, a single name dominates every private discussion behind closed doors. 3I Atlas, the third verified interstellar visitor ever detected entering our solar system. When NASA first announced its discovery earlier this year, the tone was almost casual. Another intriguing cosmic visitor. Another opportunity to study a body born between the stars. But what has emerged since then has shaken even the most cautious astrophysicists, because 3I Atlas is not behaving like any comet or asteroid ever observed. It is not merely strange, it is impossible. And now, new data quietly leaking from NASA's own Deep Space Tracking Network suggests that this object may not only defy our understanding of celestial motion, but may also pose an existential question for humanity itself. The first signs of trouble appeared when the Pan-STARRS array initially flagged a faint moving dot, the object now known as 3I Atlas. Nothing seemed noteworthy at first. Its initial trajectory showed the usual parabolic path, a brief swing through the inner solar system before fading forever into interstellar darkness. That was how it began, with Oumuamua in 2017 and 2I Borisov in 2019, brief visitors that came and went, leaving us with more mysteries than explanations. But within weeks of detection, the anomalies began. The Deep Space Network's radar mapping revealed an irregular velocity pattern, small but undeniable micro-decelerations inconsistent with gravitational models. The object was slowing down, gently and persistently, as though guided by an unseen force. When NASA's Goldstone Observatory confirmed the readings, the tone of internal communications changed from cautious to alarmed, because no natural mechanism could explain what was happening. Solar radiation pressure should accelerate such objects outward. Outgassing jets always push, never pull. And gravitational drag at those distances is meaningless. Something was wrong. This was unnatural motion. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory conducted an emergency recalibration in late August. By that time, 3I Atlas had already performed a trajectory correction of 0.28 kilometers per second, a small but deliberate change. Consider that for a moment. A rock the size of a small city, moving faster than 200,000 kilometers per hour, somehow reducing its velocity with precision, as if applying controlled thrust. At first, scientists suggested the usual mundane possibilities: instrument malfunction, thermal emission bias, micrometeoroid impacts. Yet each explanation failed under scrutiny. Independent observations from the European Space Agency's Gaia satellite and the Hubble Space Telescope confirmed the same data. 3I Atlas was decelerating not randomly, but in rhythmic pulses synchronized with its rotation period. It appeared to be performing controlled maneuvers. Even the language in NASA's classified reports changed. One internal document, labeled Level 3 Confidential, contained a single haunting line in bold, "Observe motion," inconsistent with known natural processes. From that moment onward, 3I Atlas ceased to be a scientific curiosity and became something far darker. The mystery deepened when spectroscopic data hinted at a hollow structure. Measurements from the James Webb Space Telescope revealed an incredibly low density, less than 1/10 that of water. If 3I Atlas were a solid body, it would weigh tens of billions of tons. Yet, its gravitational influence on nearby bodies, including Mars during its early October flyby, was practically non-existent. It was as if this vast visitor were hollow. That single word, hollow, sent shockwaves through the astrophysics community. A hollow comet defies every principle of planetary formation. Natural objects form through accretion layers of dust and ice compressed over eons. They do not form shells, and they certainly do not maintain perfect rotational balance without mass to stabilize them. And yet, 3I Atlas does exactly that. Its rotation remains perfectly steady to the 10th decimal place. No drift, no wobble, no instability. As Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb noted in his recent analysis, either 3I Atlas is made of a substance unknown to modern chemistry, or it was deliberately engineered for structural balance. Those two words, deliberately engineered, reignited one of science's oldest and deepest fears. Then came the data blackout. On October 3rd, 3I Atlas passed within 29 million kilometers of Mars, the closest known approach between an interstellar object and a planet in recorded history. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, the European Space Agency's Mars Express, and China's Tianwen-1 spacecraft were all in perfect position to capture the event. Then, without warning, the data stopped. A government shutdown in Washington conveniently halted all public communications just 48 hours before the encounter. No raw telemetry, no spectral data, no high-resolution imagery. The European Space Agency blamed data processing delays. China offered no comment. Weeks went by, and nothing surfaced. Behind the scenes, researchers whispered what no official would say aloud. The data exists, the instruments worked, and the silence was not technical, it was intentional. We have seen this pattern before, with Oumuamua, with Borisov, and now with 3I Atlas. Each time an interstellar visitor defied expectations, the flow of information tightened. Transparency evaporated. The truth dissolved into bureaucratic haze. But this time, something is different. Because 3I Atlas has not left, every model predicted that by mid-October, it would already be receding, accelerating away under solar radiation pressure as it returned to the stars. Instead, it did the unthinkable. It slowed down again. The new trajectory mapped by the Gemini North Observatory indicates a slow inward drift toward a potential stable orbit between Mars and Jupiter. In other words, 3I Atlas might be staying. If verified, this would mark the first interstellar object in recorded history to become gravitationally bound to our solar system. Yet, no space agency has made a formal statement. When questioned directly, NASA officials responded only with carefully measured language. We continue to monitor the object and refine our models. But deep within NASA's internal communication networks, a very different story appears to be forming, one that points toward the unthinkable. Patterns among the stars began to emerge. Avi Loeb's team at the Galileo project compared 3I Atlas's trajectory to the anomalies recorded from Oumuamua and 2I Borisov. The findings sent chills through the astrophysics community. Each object had entered the solar system from nearly the same ecliptic inclination within a narrow band of +5 degrees, a statistical coincidence expected less than 2% of the time by random chance. 3 visitors, 3 identical alignments, and 3 sets of anomalies in both motion and composition. Random debris does not behave this way. Coordinated exploration, however, does. Imagine, for a moment, that these were not isolated fragments of interstellar rock, but part of something greater, a sequence, a network, a relay, each one testing, observing, mapping, and each one moving closer to our home. If that sounds like science fiction, remember that science fiction has often served as the dress rehearsal for scientific reality. Then came the spectral enigma. When NASA's Swift Observatory conducted ultraviolet analysis of 3I Atlas, it detected something that deepened the mystery even further. A non-random emission line at 497 nanometers. Such a wavelength is not unusual for cometary spectra, except that this particular line flickered at exact intervals every 22 minutes, like the ticking of a cosmic clock. Spectral pulsing is not a natural occurrence. It suggests modulation, the deliberate variation of a signal's intensity over time. When this discovery quietly leaked into the astrophysics community, message boards and encrypted forums erupted with speculation. Was it coincidence? Instrument interference? NASA's official comment was predictably cautious. We are investigating possible calibration errors. But the timing was too exact, too consistent. The intervals repeated minute after minute. If the pattern holds, it suggests something extraordinary, an active process, perhaps even communication. For now, no one dares to say it outright, but the data speaks for itself. Astronomers around the world also report a strange optical effect surrounding 3I Atlas, a soft green halo, unlike any typical cometary coma. Normally, this hue is caused by diatomic carbon molecules fluorescing under solar ultraviolet light. However, spectroscopic readings from Chile's Very Large Telescope reveal that 3I Atlas contains virtually no carbon chains. In other words, the green glow is not chemical in origin. So, what is it? Some propose ionized plasma. Others suggest a form of electromagnetic containment, a field interaction, maintaining the object's structural coherence, because if 3I Atlas truly is hollow, it should have collapsed under its own rotational stress months ago, yet it remains intact. The green envelope might not be light emitted at all, but rather light refracted, bent, and distorted by an invisible containment field surrounding the object, perhaps an engineered magnetosphere. If that is true, it would represent the first evidence of artificial shielding technology ever observed beyond Earth. In just 12 days, 3I Atlas will reach its perihelion, its closest point to the Sun, approximately 1.36 astronomical units, just inside Mars's orbit. From Earth's perspective, this means complete visual obstruction. The object will disappear behind the Sun's glare for nearly 3 weeks. And that timing is deeply significant because orbital projections indicate that 3I Atlas will reach its maximum velocity during that hidden phase. It would be the perfect opportunity to execute what aerospace engineers call an Oberth maneuver, using the Sun's immense gravity well to amplify or reverse velocity with minimal energy expenditure. If 3I Atlas activates propulsion, or whatever mechanism it uses to alter its motion, while concealed behind the Sun, we will not see it happen. We will only notice the change afterward when it reemerges on a new trajectory. Privately, NASA engineers admit that if 3I Atlas significantly changes course during perihelion, one conclusion will be undeniable: active propulsion is occurring. But propulsion implies intention, and intention implies intelligence. Behind closed doors, mission analysts are preparing for possibilities that were inconceivable only a month ago. Reports suggest that a classified briefing has already circulated through NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office, outlining hypothetical engagement scenarios, protocols usually reserved for potential asteroid impact threats. Yet 3I Atlas poses no known collision risk. So why the heightened alert? Because if it remains in orbit, if it stabilizes between Mars and Jupiter as current simulations predict, humanity will be facing something unprecedented, an interstellar object permanently stationed within our solar system, possibly active, possibly aware. Financial markets, always sensitive to even a whisper of extraterrestrial implications, have already begun to react. The Dow Jones Index fell 3% within hours of an unverified leak, claiming that NASA had detected deliberate deceleration. The official denial arrived quickly, but the silence that followed said far more than words ever could.